Hello and welcome. I'm using the black canvas again today. I'm just going to do, well, I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. I haven't decided. We're just going to play and see what happens. I've got a clean palette, no ready mixed mud, and on my palette I've got titanium white, sap green, ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, alizarin crimson, cadmium red, lemon yellow, cadmium yellow, yellow ochre, and burnt sienna. Oh, and burnt umber. They're predominantly Winsor & Newton colours, although there is one Meadow and a Picasso in there. But the first thing I'm going to do is decide what we're going to do with the sky. We use a 1-inch brush. Because we're on black, we are going to have to start with white, because we don't want, I'm not aiming for a particularly dark painting today, but we'll see. Now, I've already primed the canvas with some linseed oil to make blending easier. I've got the cadmium white, and add a little ultramarine, a touch of alizarin crimson, a little more ultramarine, that was a bit too much crimson. I want a fairly pale sky today. Obviously the black from the canvas is going to glow through the white, the sky colours, so we need to make them fairly bright. I'm not adding any medium to the mix on the palette because the linseed oil is already on the canvas. So I'm just starting this corner with some crisscross strokes, blending it across. That might be a bit too light, I might just add a touch more of the ultramarine. Don't think it's made a whole lot of difference, but we'll go with it. It may be that I cover a lot of this sky with other things, but I just want to get it in there in case I decide I want to keep it. I'm blending down. You can probably see this is a canvas that I'm reusing. I didn't like what I'd painted on it before, so I just sanded it down, toned it black. I don't think the sanding was particularly effective, it's still a bit bumpy. I'm just adding some more ultramarine to this mix just to darken the top a little more. I'm blending it down. I may even add a bit more. I think I added far too much white in that first mix, so I'll just keep adding ultramarine until I'm happy with the result. I'll bring that down. I don't want any harsh line between the dark and the light. I just need to start. I can actually see better now. I was sat but I had a real glare on this side of the canvas, so I couldn't really see what I was doing. Now I'm going to bring this sky quite far down, because I haven't decided yet whether we're having a low horizon or a high horizon, so we'll just see where we go. Sometimes it's fun to start painting and just wing it. One of my favourite paintings that I've done there was no plan at the beginning. It was just a wing it. I find if I have a plan and it doesn't work, I get a bit annoyed with myself. So if I don't bother with the plan, it doesn't matter if it doesn't work, does it? Okay, so next let's, I may as well block in some kind of land at the bottom, so I'm going to add some sap green to the sky colour. Oh, that makes a nice green. I'm just going to block in the bottom, adding a bit more sap green or a bit more of something else just as I go along. Just add a bit of burnt sienna, give it some warmth. But I am just blocking in at this stage because I've still not decided what I'm actually going to do. Blend that for a nice soft horizon. I'm going to have to stand again. Oh, actually, I quite like that. That's not a bad start. Okay, let's rinse out the brush. Not using turpentine, I'm using a white spirit that is odourless. Scrape the brush on the bottom of the, oh, I have, let's see if I can show you this, and it has, bear with me, it's perforated a little bit inside, but scrape the brush up against that so all the solid paint can go to the bottom and the paint thinner stays reasonably clean. So that's that brush dried. Just give it a dab on some blue roll and lay it down. So I think we'll do clouds. I like doing clouds. Clouds are fun. Okay, I think we'll use this. It's a, so I'm not even sure what brand it is. It's a number 5 round detail. Comes to a nice point. It's a bit bent, it's a bit old, but I find it is nice for you making clouds. So I'm going to start with some titanium white. And of course we don't want just titanium white. I'm going to add a little burnt sienna to it rather than, ooh, that's way too much burnt sienna. Put some more white out, that's better. I don't want these clouds too pink, and we're not going to use yellow anywhere near the sky because we don't want grey sky. So, let's just decide where that first cloud's going to live. I'm thinking we'll start here. We can change our mind later if we need to. Okay, as I'm picking up blue, I need to wipe the brush off and reload. I'm just going to add a little linseed oil to this. My titanium white paint seems to be very thick. It does quite often need a little something to thin it down to make it usable. wiggling in some clouds. I'm probably going to do a few layers of clouds. Okay. Just dab the brush and get my blender brush. Just move this out. This first layer of clouds I want nice and subtle. That's it. I want these clouds to be barely there. Now I'm going to add a little more titanium white to my mix. I'm not aiming for a moody sky today, I want something nice and light. Add a little more titanium white. I'm just going to bring something a touch brighter in. I don't think there's any particular rules for painting clouds. I've seen people do it various different ways, using various different colours. I think when you're doing your painting, your clouds are your clouds and you paint them how you want to. This is just how I like to paint clouds. Just blend these in again. Okay, add more titanium white. A little more linseed oil to soften that white paint. And I'm getting towards the end of a tube of titanium white, and it does seem to be thickening in the tube. The blender brush is good to get rid of any paint that's on it. Softly blend out again. I think we're getting some nice fluffy white clouds there. Well, last go round with the clouds, I think. More white. Thin it down. This white is really, really thick. nice fluffy one just here. And maybe a little one there. Maybe brighten this one up a touch. Going over some of the earlier ones just to bring them out a little. Back in with the blender. And with this brush I use a very soft circular motion going towards the canvas and away, so I'm barely touching the canvas, just in one spot. I find it's the easiest way. I'll go one way and then another way, and I just keep playing until it's blended to how I want it. I really do want to keep these clouds nice and subtle. Not looking for a stormy day, just a little overcast, but not horrible dark clouds. Nobody likes to see dark clouds in the sky. Well, I suppose maybe some farmers like to see dark clouds because it means the crops are going to get some rain, so I can't say nobody likes them. So. There we go. A nice subtle cloudy sky. I might come back and highlight some of these clouds later, but for now I think that'll do it. Apart from this area, I'm not keen on that. Let's blend that one away. Let's just blend the blue black up, back up over the cloud. We may wind up covering some of it anyway. Interesting. Something's going to need knocking back just a little. I really do want a very, very subtle effect. There we go. Okay, I suppose now we should decide what we're doing with the rest of the painting. I don't want to do mountains today. I might just do some, this area here where it's darker looks like it could be some rolling hills, so maybe we'll just play with that, some rolling hills rather than mountains, and then a nice meadow in the foreground. Just something nice and simple today. So just let me clean my palette up and get rid of all the colour I've already laid down. Sometimes I will just mix colour over colour, but I want to start fresh here. Right, so for rolling hills I'm going to first decide which brush I want to use, which would I think I'm going to go with Filbert. Yes, Filbert brush is quite a good size, this Filbert brush. It's the I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but maybe you can see it. Fumui. It's an FR10 filbert brush. These are not expensive brushes. If you've listened to me already, you know I'm all about painting on a budget. So a little titanium white, some sap green, and some cadmium yellow. And I have to add a touch of ultramarine to that, and possibly some umber just to grey it down, because that's way too green. That's it. Just going to keep adding ultramarine and burnt umber until I get it just where I want it. So I want a green, but I don't want a green. I've just added the tiniest hint of burnt sienna to the mix as well. So I've got titanium white, sap green, cadmium yellow, ultramarine blue, burnt umber and burnt sienna in this mix. I'm just going to see how that looks. That's a nice dull green, just for the, not a great deal of distance, just nice rolling hill. Just bring that across, and I'll add a little more burnt sienna. So I don't want them, I just don't want a flat colour. I will add a touch more of the cadmium yellow. I want to see some sun hitting right there. Right there as that comes across. Go back to the darker mix and scrub that in a bit. And I'm going to bring in some more of the sap green. As we're coming closer, we want a little more colour. Still not overly bright. One thing I find with these natural bristle brushes, the hog bristle, they do tend to be a bit harsh on the canvas, and if you're not careful you can cut right through the paint to the canvas underneath. This is why I always lay the brush flat against the canvas that way rather than going straight in. These brushes are a bit too stiff for that. I tend to use a synthetic brush if I need to go straight in, because then it doesn't cut through so much. Right, I'm going to add some more sap green, some more cad yellow, and a touch of yellow ochre. And I'm going to bring this up across. Oh, see, I'm picking up the paint, being too heavy handed. Just adding some more of those colours in. Adding some more of the cad yellow. I really do want to see some sunlight hitting this side. Right, as I'm coming further forward, I'm going to swap brushes. Brush I'm going to now, it's 1.5, it's just a cheap bog standard synthetic. It's got some spring to it, it's not too soft, but it's soft enough. Now I'm starting a fresh mix with a cad yellow, hint of sap green and yellow ochre. I want to start just bringing some detail in. Let's break these bristles open a little. I want to give the effect of grass. We'll be bringing more details in. I've done the blocking in. This is basically the underpainting. I've just added a little bit of cad red. Just to give us a different hue. A bit more sap green. Like I say, each time I go to the canvas I'm just adding a little bit of something to my mix, just changing it ever so slightly. I don't want flat colours. That there's just a little alizarin crimson added to it. Just because I thought it would be fun. Yeah, I can work with that. I'm just going to lay some blue oil across the canvas to soak up some of the oil so we don't end up with mud. And I'm going to go and have a coffee and I'll be back in 10 minutes or so. Okay, I'm back. I've had a coffee. Hope you've taken this chance to pause the video and have a coffee too. I'm just going to take this off. You can see how the blue roll has taken some of the excess paint and oil out of the canvas. They'll be less likely to mix some mud. What I want to do now, I just want to add a little detail to these back hills, not a lot. We've still got a dark spot here, so I'm going to put a tree there, but further into the foreground I think. That spot just seems to be begging for a tree, and maybe something here and here, and like I said, with this one we're just winging it. It's a reused canvas that's not particularly smooth, so it's not going to be the best painting, but it's an experiment and I'm having fun. So I'm going to pick up which brush. Well, I think we're going to have to use the full Louis 1 inch bristle brush. It's great for sticking in bushes and trees. And I'm going to grab some burnt umber, some ultramarine blue, some alizarin crimson, and a touch of sap green, just to get a nice warm brown. And I'm just going to use this just to push up some bushes. I'm going to go too high because these shadows, see, I seem to be lying to you. I said I was going to start with these hills, but these bushes just needed to be done. And by the time I've done these, there's not going to be much of those back hills showing anyway. I just want to show them coming along the hill, along the crest of this hill. Just grab a little more paint. Let's get this nice big tree in. A couple of bristles come out of the brush, but I'm not worried about them. I'll just dig them out once the paint's dry. I'm not going to attempt to get rid of them while the paint's wet, or I'm just going to end up with smears all over the canvas. Just add a few bushes along the bottom here. It needs to go dark. We'll grab some more paint. Yeah, a bit darker. Really need those shadows in there. I'm trying not to make this tree a uniform shape, but to give him some interest. We'll improve his look with details later. Oh, he's a scraggy looking tree, isn't he? Oh yeah, I quite like him. Yeah. Okay, mix up a little more of this. I'm only mixing small amounts at a time because I don't want to waste any paint. Just mixing what I need as I need it. I think we'll stick a bush in this bottom corner. And yeah, each time I mix up this paint, I'm just using the burnt umber, alizarin crimson, ultramarine and sap green. Just lots of dark colours just to give the foliage some shadow before we add highlights. I'm not adding any water to this particular landscape. I think I'm just going to add the tiniest hint of titanium white to this colour, and just using the brush the other way, I'm just going to indicate a little something along the top of that far hill. Use a corner just to put what could be trees. Just a hint of something along there. And then blend it and knock it back, and we've got some natural shadow there. Yeah, I think I like that. I think this big tree on that side needs to come right over to the edge, so I'm just going to put a little more colour. When I come to do highlights, I might just turn this into a couple of trees and bushes and things. And a lot of shadow down here. We'll have a lot of shadow in this foreground, and we'll just let the light play in the sky and all those little areas of grass. Now, wiping most of the paint out of that brush, and then I'm just going to settle these trees into the bushes, trees, whichever. Just going to settle them into the landscape. And again, pulling that dark down is giving us some natural shadows. And I'm quite liking how it's showing so far. And I had said I was having the light coming that way, but it looks like it's coming this way. I don't think it really matters. It'll be cool. Okay, just give that brush a rinse and decide what to do next. I think I might just have a little play with those clouds a little more, bring out some light around here. And clouds are my favourite thing to do. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll use the titanium white. Tiniest hint of burnt sienna, so it's not stark white, but I don't want pink. I'm just gonna, the sun's hitting this. It is coming from that way, it's just hitting these. So yeah, let's just highlight some clouds where the sun's hitting. Up a little. Again, we get the blender brush, give it a scrub, make sure it's not got any paint in it, and very gently. Don't want to blend these highlights out too much. I need them to stand out from the rest of the cloud, but I don't want them to be look like they're just stuck on the clouds. They need to look like they're part of the cloud. So we just knock them back a little. And here I'm not doing my circular motion with the blender brush, I'm just dabbing. Very lightly tapping paint, just to knock those highlights back. Subtle, but there. They actually look a lot more stark on the canvas than they do on the camera. I've got to get a fine balance between making them look subtle on the canvas without them disappearing on the camera. It's easier said than done. Yeah, sounds like the wind's getting up and it's raining out there. Okay. Now we'll get that. Where I put it. I've lost my tree, but there it is. Back to the flat brush and get some cad yellow, yellow ochre, a hint of sap green, mix that up, and we're just going to some highlights around the tree. He really is a scraggy looking tree, isn't he? You've got to be real careful not to lose all the dark. And remember where the light's coming from. Now I'm going to add some alizarin crimson to that. And just have a little light catching on this darker side. A little reflected light maybe. Oh, let's add some more alizarin crimson to that. I quite like that. And we'll put some colour in these bushes down here. I'll put a bit of cadmium red in there. Add more of the red. Yeah, it looks like we're getting a bit of an autumn scene going. Anybody who knows me knows it's my favourite time of year, so it's no surprise that that's what we end up with. Stick a bit of the red in this tree too. I had a feeling I was going to end up with two trees there. Very scraggy looking trees. I want to bring some of the lighter highlights back up here. Okay, now we've highlighted him, or them, give that brush a good swizz. Get rid of the paint thinner. Now we need to highlight these bushes. They're getting a little more light than this bush here. So I want to use cad red, cad yellow, yellow ochre, and maybe a hint of titanium white. Just tap that into the brush and give these some highlights. Add a touch more cad yellow. I don't want all the highlights to be the same. I want some life in this painting with some interesting colours. Right, I'm just going to add, I haven't used the cobalt blue yet, but I'm going to add it to this colour to get a green. And because I'm adding it to the colours I've already used, it will still harmonise. It doesn't matter that I haven't used it already. I want this guy here to be an evergreen. I'll have to brighten him up a bit. Just added a touch of titanium white and some cad yellow, just to brighten these highlights slightly. I'm going back to my more orangey mix, but mixing it with the cad, with the green, sorry. Now this is just a mix of everything that's on the palette. The greens, the orange, the red, the brown, everything. Joe says you shouldn't mix mud. Sometimes it's cool. Just throw that mud in. So we've got a few bushes. Well, full of colour, just in that foreground there. I'll grab some burnt umber. I'm just going to bring a little shadow back here. Just break up some of those highlights. I think I got a bit carried away. It was fun. That's better. And maybe some more of the highlights back in, shadows, sorry, back here. It's so easy to get carried away when you like the look of the highlights. But without the shadows, the highlights don't really mean anything, so you really do need to keep those shadows. Go. That out. Well, these at the back here, I'm just going to use a very small detail brush. And I can find what I want. What I'll do. And again, just picking up some of the random mud off the palette. I'm just going to put some tiny little indications of something, just so it doesn't just look like a bunch of sticks. Adding some more alizarin crimson. Yeah, alizarin crimson, you know, red's a foreground colour, but it is blending with what's already there, so it's not a huge issue. And it is an autumn painting, so we want something back here, don't we? Get most of what's on the brush out of it, and again just knock it back, bring those shadows in. This hill's growing, not to worry, it's okay, it's all good. Okay, now I need to do something about the grass. For that I need a small flat brush. That's a bit too soft. Yeah, this one will do, I think. So, is that green? Cad yellow. Yellow ochre. And I'll mix some of this with some of my mud. And each time I come to the palette, I'm just going to pick up a different colour or flavour. So tap it down and lift it up. Tap down and lift up. I think I've gone about this entirely wrong. I should have done all this before I put my bushes in, but I just wanted to get bushes in. This brush really is far too soft, but it's the only flat brush I have that's small enough to get into that area. Let's bring some life to these shadows here. Just flick it up. Just flick it up. I need some shadow back here. This is just pure cad yellows I'm putting on here, and it's mixing with what's there just to get this sunspot. This is where I want my light to really be hitting. that back again. Some more highlights to this little sunspot here. Yeah, there's not a whole lot of finesse to this, not the most detailed painting. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use, let me see, I'll use this fan brush. I'm just going to tap and lift just to mingle my colours, but add a little texture to the grass. Just tapping and lifting. I was going to wander to the other end of my little caravan and see if I'm happy with that. You know, it's not the world's best painting, but from a distance it's okay. If I zoom the camera out, wrong way. No, it doesn't want to zoom out any more than that. Yeah, I do believe for a reused canvas that I'd completely ruined with a really naff painting. Yeah, it might still be naff, but it's better than the last one. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope you've laughed at me. I laugh at myself quite a lot. If you are interested in the black canvas paintings, I have a couple more videos on here that are painted on black canvas that are considerably better quality than this one, so go have a look at those and you can see what I can do when I'm not just winging it. So, hope to see you again soon.